Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Farhana Haq and I'll be presenting our paper called Hadith Authenticity Prediction using Sentiment Analysis and Machine Learning. To begin with, I'll go through a brief overview of Hadiths. Hadith is the second most important resource in Islamic legislation after the Holy Quran. They are basically the teachings, deeds, and silent approvals of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, which are primarily narrated by his close companions and then transmitted through many years by a chain of narrators, and that also orally. Hadiths usually consist of two parts. The narration part is called matan, and the chain of narrators is known as isnad or sanad, through whom the narrations travelled across, reached the reporters, and then to us. In Hadith science, the isnad part is considered more important. For more than 1400 years, scholars have carefully scrutinized this part to verify Hadith's authentication. To the Sunni Muslims, the first 6 Hadith collections from the table shown here are considered as the most trusted sources of Hadiths. Imam Bukhari was a Persian Islamic scholar who was born in Bukhara of Uzbekistan. He authored the Hadith collection Sahih al-Bukhari, regarded as one of the most authentic Hadith collections. Imam al-Tirmidhi was also a Persian Islamic scholar of Arab descent and collector of Hadith from Termiz of Uzbekistan. He wrote Jami at-Tirmidhi, which is one of those 6 canonical Hadith compilations. Next, I am going to discuss our research approach, starting with defining the problem we are addressing. In the process of Hadith transmission, Hadiths got corrupted by weak memories of the narrators and fabrication of narration, because narrations naturally get altered by each individual, so the authenticity depends on the reliability of its reporters and narrators. So this is why isnads need special attention for the verification of a hadith. The impact of da'if or rejected hadith is dangerous. If any of the narrator is found liar or problematic, then the hadith they narrated get discarded by the scholars. So the need of contrasting between the accepted and rejected hadith comes in. We wished to automate this process. Like other researchers, we wanted to build an algorithm which will try to predict the accuracy of a hadith from its isnad. We intended to create a prediction system which will be able to classify among some selected categories of hadiths and show its extent of being authentic, using the English translation of hadith texts as input. It will classify Sahih or Hasan as accepted and Da'if, which means weak, as rejected. So, the algorithm should read, recognize, and discriminate between the narrators and tell us about its authenticity by acknowledging the names in its narration chain. NLP or natural language processing is all about breaking down this process in smaller pieces for computers to meet the goals of extracting meaning from the text and making valuable use of it. Sentiment analysis is the most common text classification tool of NLP that analyzes an input text and tells whether the underlying sentiment is positive or negative. Sentiment analysis works with words that can add value while classifying a document or text, while our algorithm works with names, which are captured using regular expression. Instead of words, the names here act like the features and help classify a hadith. We used the idea of sentiment analysis and implemented our algorithm in a manner where the cues are the names of the narrators in the isnad instead of words which convey sentiment. It will learn from examples that who are good narrators and only contributed in narrating Sahih or Hasan hadiths, and especially the bad narrators whose name can be found in rejected hadiths frequently. It's no different than how words like great and nice add value to make a positive review or bad and dumb make a negative one. In this paper, we have sought a novel approach incorporating sentiment analysis and machine learning for predicting the authenticity measure of a hadith. Moving on to our solution methodology, starting with how we built the corpus. We have collected Sahih and Hasan hadiths isnads from random chapters of the books Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, and Jami at-Tirmidhi. On the other hand, we collected Daif Hadiths Isnads and names of faulty narrators from Silsilat al-Ahadith ad-Daifa, Sunan Abu Dawud, Jami at-Tirmidhi, and Sunan Ibn Majah. We collected most of the Arabic scripts of Isnads from Sunnah.com, translated their narration chain to English, and labeled each of them according to their category. And this is how we built our entire custom-made corpus of 1600 Isnads. After importing the dataset to our algorithm, we shuffled the documents. Then we divided the dataset into test and training data in a ratio of 1:19, keeping only 5% data for testing. The next thing is to build the algorithm. The first step was to pre-process the texts. The raw translation of an isnad looks mostly like the first text box in this figure. And for text classification, data has to be cleaned and noise-free. So we defined a function to prepare these raw texts, which removes any digits, unnecessary punctuations, and domain-specific stop words. The next step is tokenizing the cleaned text as per our application. We didn't use any predefined word tokenizer as they only recognizes English words separated by spaces or punctuations. So we crafted our own tokenizer using a complex regular expression pattern, which tries to extract the names of the narrators. You can see our tokenizer captured the names only and returned a list of them. Now that we have a way to extract names from text in the form of a list, we need a way to transform these names into numerical features for computation. Count Vectorizer turns these names into a vocabulary or dictionary, giving each name a unique key. It returns an array somewhat like this table but of huge shape, which can also be called a document term matrix. Here, whichever name is present in this document has the value 1 and the rest are zeros. Just counting the number of names in each hadith will give more weightage to longer isnads than shorter ones. We also need to reduce the weightage of more common names which appear in both types of hadiths to let the classifier differentiate easily. To handle these issues, we used TF-IDF transformer, which replaces the zeros and ones of the document term matrix with the TF-IDF score of a feature or name. The score is estimated the way shown here. The term T is said to be a name in our case, and document D refers to an isnad or the sequence of names in a single hadith. N here is the total number of isnads that we have in our dataset. The next step is to train the classifier using machine learning models. The matrix that the transformer returned has been fed to the classifier for further calculation and classification. The classifier then learns from the provided data and gets trained and ready to be tested with the test data. We used supervised machine learning models where a dataset of input observations is each associated with some correct output or label. The goal of these models is to learn how to map a new observation to a correct output. Next, we chose the best parameters with grid search function. The classifier, vectorizer, and the transformer take some parameters to work according to our preference. So there is an option called grid search in Python sklearn which allows to tune the parameter inputs and find the best values to set the provides the highest accuracy the classifier can get. So this diagram shows the complete workflow of the algorithm. As you can see, raw texts are provided to the preprocessor, which outputs the clean text removing noise. The tokenizer yields the list of names, which is then turned into a dictionary by the vectorizer, and then becomes a document term matrix, and finally it is fitted to the classifier and the classifier becomes ready to predict. Let's move on to the next section, which is results and analysis. We applied each of these 6 machine learning models shown here on our entire dataset to get the precise results and analyze which model performs the best in this case. The tables demonstrate the results we have obtained through our research. The table on the left visualizes category-wise results, and the table on the right is the overall comparison between each model's performances. Here we can see linear SVC has an overall accuracy rate of 86% and performed better than the others, whereas random forest has the poorest results among all the other models. The screenshot attached here demonstrates how we tested the algorithm with a random hadith and got the desired output. We used the logistic regression model here as it's a probabilistic model and can provide us with a percentage of the extent the classifier thinks a hadith is acceptable. But we used linear support vector classifier to predict if this particular hadith falls under accepted or rejected category as it has the highest accuracy rate. Next, we applied a 5-fold cross-validation to compare the models furthermore. Cross-validation is a statistical method used to estimate the skill of machine learning models on limited dataset. So this has been applied to our dataset by splitting it into 5 subsets and training these candidate models with 4 subsets and testing them with the remaining one. And here are the results. As we can see, linear SVC has the best score and winning here too. Top 15 features or names of each class has been mapped through their coefficient values in the figure shown here. The features that ranked highest for providing meaning and relevancy for the accepted and rejected classes are demonstrated in this figure. The red ones are for accepted class and the blue ones are for rejected class. Though the text classification tasks or sentiment analysis usually work with huge amount of dataset, but as we manually did the collection, our dataset has 1.6 thousand cases to learn from. But in the future, we intend to automate this process so the dataset collection would be much easier. Also, we wish to handle the spelling variations of a single name in future to make our algorithm more powerful. Moreover, making a user interface and incorporating more advanced AI techniques are possible in the future. Thank you so much everyone. Please feel free to ask any questions.